Good morning. Welcome to the NUUC Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name's Dr. Clare Hammoor. I get to be the intern minister at this bright, loving, joyful group of seekers. We have some very special guests this morning, and I would love to send a little bit of special love to the Foothills Madrigal Singers. If we can just give them a warm welcome. So glad you all are here today. A few announcements before we get into sacred space. Saturday, April 13th from 6 to 8, in honor of Creativity Month, we're shifting our regularly scheduled community night to an all-ages creativity co-working session. Bring a project you're working on. It could be knitting or painting or writing or woodworking or schoolwork or a song or really anything that's not too loud or stinky, Clay says. Or play with art and craft supplies that'll be here. Bring snacks to share and we'll play together. Reverend Dana is going to hold a jam session for musicians in the sanctuary. And we have a quick update on the upcoming auction.
Need your attention. Okay, this June 24th, we're having the auction down at the Tilson Center starting about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we need, first of all, volunteers, anybody that would help us out getting things set up down there. And we also need things to auction. Now, a couple of quick questions. Does anybody here collect stamps? Okay. How about coins? Okay. That sounds good. How about food? Okay. So anyway, we're going to have an auction. I've got a table set up over here in the social hall, ready to take your donations, anything that you might want to auction off. We've already got a whole bunch of stuff like poker parties, and we've got musical interludes and all kinds of stuff. So please come join us. Have a great time. I'm glad to see Tom's back here. Sorry about the heat. Batteries went out, and hopefully if you liven it up a little bit in here, it'll warm up fast. Thanks.
All right, let's land by taking a big breath in and let it go. Gregory Orr writes, "This is what was bequeathed us. This earth the beloved left, and leaving, left to us. No other world but this one. Willows and the river and the factory with black smokestacks. No other shore, only this bank on which the living gather. No meaning but what we find here. No purpose but what we make. That and the beloved's clear instructions. Turn me into song. Sing me awake."
I just want to echo what Claire said and bid you a warm welcome. It's wonderful to see all your faces today. Music is a powerful and creative endeavor. And to that end, I'd like to echo and wish a warm welcome to our friends from Foothills Unitarian Church, the Foothills Madrigal Singers, who will sing 3 pieces for you today. We are so grateful that you're here. Thank you for sharing your gifts.
You're hearing a little bit about us, but what is at the core of our heart is our congregational affirmation. I invite us to say it together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you to begin helping one another by turning with a hug, a handshake, a high five, or even a tiny five, and say good morning.
How do we get rid of that?
Huh?
How do I get rid of that?
Get rid of it?
I'd just like to say we're also delighted to be here. It's been a while since we've been here, several years, I think. We have sung here before, but it's been quite a while, and such a lovely place to be. So thank you all.
I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart. I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, 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 singing freedom, freedom, freedom. I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart. I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, freedom on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, freedom on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, 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 singing freedom, 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 singing freedom, freedom, freedom.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Thurlow, and I'm your Worship Associate this morning. As we consider creativity this month, I would imagine that many of you can relate to art scars. Meaning, think back to when you were a kid. Did someone make fun of, judge, or belittle a creative project of yours? By middle school, so many kids have told themselves that they are no good at art, singing, writing, at creativity, because they compare themselves to others. Well-known author and researcher Brené Brown has stated comparison is the death of happiness. Brené attributes her creative success to having important people in her life who made sure she tuned out those negative voices. It's Brené's belief that unused creativity is not benign. It metastasizes. It turns into grief, rage, judgment, sorrow, shame. Through creativity, we can express those emotions. We are creative beings. Studies have shown that at a young age, 98% of us are creative geniuses. By middle school, that number is down to 30%. And by adulthood, only 2% of us are functionally creative. I believe we have to find a way to create and not care what others think. There's always someone who's better at everything we could do in life. But I encourage you not to let it inhibit your creativity. Creativity is about finding your joy. I encourage you to rediscover creativity, cultivate and ignite it in your life.
Do we have any young people that want to come up to see these pictures better? This is a really good retelling of the Three Billy Goats Gruff. Once upon a time, there was a bridge, and beneath that bridge there lived a troll. The troll would sit in mud and rubble and trash, listening, waiting, hoping for someone to cross the bridge above his head. I'm a troll, I like to eat. I love the sounds of hooves and feet, of paws and claws on cobblestones, for that's the sound of meat and bones. And there is a very scary troll underneath this bridge. The troll used a filthy fingernail to scrape the wax out of his ears, and he ate a leather boot and some of the goop that he found in his belly button, but he was practically starving. There's the troll looking pretty hungry. Clip, clop, went on the bridge above his head. The troll scrambled to his feet and climbed out in the light, crying, "Who seeks to reach the grassy ridge? Who dares walk across my bridge?" And on top of the bridge, we see a goat. A little goat stood there quivering. "It's only me," said the goat, "a billy goat. My last name's Gruff." The troll began to dance and stomp. "I love goat. Let me count the ways. A rump of goat and honey glaze, goat smoke, goat poached, goat pot roast, goat smorgasbord, goat on toast, goat kale salad, hold the kale. Goat escargot, that's goat plus snails. Little goat, I'll eat you up." There's the goat looking very scared up above. "Please," said the goat. "No, you don't want to eat me. There's hardly any meat on my bones." The troll squinted. Now that he mentioned it, he looked kind of stringy. The little goat smiled. "If you let me cross, I'll tell you a secret. Soon my big brother will come this way, and he's much fatter and tastier than I." "Your big brother," said the goat. He tugged the long hair that grew on his chin and said, "Okay, you can pass." And there he is, walking past safe and sound. And the first billy goat Gruff trotted clip-clop across the bridge. Down below, the troll chuckled to himself. "I can't believe I tricked that goat into telling me about his big brother. I'm so smart and fun and handsome." Clip-clop went the bridge above his head. The troll scrambled to his feet and climbed into the light, crying, "Who seeks to reach the grassy ridge? Who dares walk across my bridge?" There we see the second goat. It was another goat. "It's only me," said the goat, the second of Billy Goat's Gruff. The troll was glad to see this goat wasn't so small. He clapped his hands and squealed, "I love goat. Let me count the ways. Goat Benedict with hollandaise. A goat clam bake with no clams. On goat I'll dine, on goat I'll sup. Little goat, I'm gonna eat you up." And there's the goat, looking a little bit scared, but the goat says, "Please, no, you don't want to eat me." And the troll frowned, "But you look delicious." The second goat smiled. "I could only spoil your appetite, for if you let me cross, I'll tell you a secret. Soon my big brother will come this way, and he's much fatter and tastier than me." "Your big brother?" the troll whistled. "Well, I'd like to see that." He twirled the chin hair around his finger and said, "Okay, you can pass." And the second Billy Goat Gruff trotted clip-clop across the bridge. Crouching down there in the dark, the troll was bursting with anticipation. "This third brother sounds mouth-watering. I can't wait to eat him." He picked at a scab and said, "What rhymes with strudel?" And there we see two legs that are very big on the other side of this bridge. Clip-clop went the bridge. The troll began drooling. "Oh my, here we go." He scrambled to his feet, flung himself into the light, crying, "Who seeks to reach the grassy ridge? Who dares cross my bridge?" And there the troll is, looking up at the goat, this huge goat. And he sees it's way bigger than he thought. "Oh," said the troll, wow, you're really big." As the troll straightened himself up tall as he could and coughed and said in a small voice that sounded quite small, "I'll eat you up, you little goat." The big goat laughed. He lowered his horns and stamped his hoof. "No," said the goat, "you will not." And there we see the goat giving a headbutt to the troll as he flies across the page. And the third billy goat gruff rammed into the troll, who flew off the bridge into the rapids over the waterfall, which was known as the Big Waterfall. And there we see the troll flowing down the big waterfall. And then he went over the huge waterfall, and there we see him going over the huge waterfall next. And then came the waterfall we call the really enormous waterfall. And there he goes over the next one. The troll floated down the river around the bend. Where he ended up, I can't say. I've never gone that far because there are just too many mosquitoes. As for the third goat, he trotted clop, 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 and joined his brothers on the grassy ridge. The three billy goats gruff are still there today, eating all they want, getting nice and fat. You can visit them and say hello. All you have to do is cross the bridge. I'm going to invite our young people to join Janet Wright, our Director of Religious Education, in the back. And we'll sing them out with a little love tunnel. I'd love to invite us into a place of meditation, however that feels good in your body. To let your eyes be closed if that feels good, or maybe just to look down. And let's begin by getting in sync with each other with 3 big breaths. Let's take that first big breath in and let it go. And another big breath, this one going all the way into your hips. Hold on to it. And let it go. And one more big breath going all the way down to your toes because it feels so good. And let it go. And here in this space of calm, in this space of peace, we'd love to offer you a poem and then a piece of music. And I just invite you to let your eyes be closed or to look down and to center on your breathing so that you can experience these in a different way, so that you can continue to experience your own becoming. It was spring and I finally heard him among the first leaves when I saw him clutching the limb in an island of shade, with his red-brown feathers all trim and neat for the new year. First I stood still and thought of nothing. Then I began to listen. Then I was filled with gladness, and that's when it happened. When I seemed to float, to be myself a wing or a tree. And I began to understand what the bird was saying. And the sands of the grass stopped for a pure white moment, while gravity sprinkled upward like rain rising. And in fact, it became difficult to tell just what it was that was singing. It was the thrush for sure, but it seemed not a single thrush himself, but all his brothers, and also the trees around them, as well as the gliding, long-tailed clouds in the perfectly blue sky. All of them were singing. And of course, so it seemed, was I. Such soft and solemn and perfect music doesn't last for more than a few moments. It's one of those magical places wise people like to talk about. It's one of the things they say about it that's true, is that once you've been there, you're there forever. Listen, everyone has a chance. Is it spring? Is it morning? Are there trees around you, and does your own soul need comforting? Quick then, open the door and fly on your heavy feet. The song may already be drifting away. Such soft and solemn and perfect music doesn't last for more than a few moments. It's one of those magical places wise people like to talk about. When you're ready, let's take a big breath in and let it go, coming back to this space. One of the ways that we sing to each other in this congregation is by sharing our joys and our sorrows during the service. And so I'll bring the mic to you if you have one to share with us, and I'll invite everyone else to respond by giving them a heartbeat that does two things. It reminds us that we're being witnessed, and everyone here is here to witness each other in their joy or their sorrow. And a heartbeat also reminds us of this idea that if you have heart cells from two different hearts and you take them out of the heart, they keep pumping, but when you put them together in a petri dish, they make a new rhythm together. We're longing to be in connection with each other. And so we'd love to begin by offering space for people who are visiting first, second, third time that are feeling brave and want to say hello, so we can give you a heartbeat greeting.
Hi, my name is Adrienne. I'm so happy to be here, and I feel so much love in this space, calmness, and unity. I'm very happy to be here with my new friend, Robin. Thank you.
So in welcoming you and in our hearts beating with that love together.
Hi, I'm Mickey McGuire. About 7 weeks ago, I fell and broke my leg, which wasn't too much fun. But I have a lot of thank yous to those of you that sent cards and brought food in the first couple weeks. It was really, really appreciated. Bill Rosequist has been a great friend. He's a neighbor too. My wife, Fawn, really took care of me in so many ways. So I'm very grateful for that. The good news is I'm out of my cast and walking. So just need to get a little strong.
So in honoring the hard work of your healing and in celebrating healing in community.
I'm Janet. A couple weeks ago, I got to see my cousin, Michael John, who is the brother of Dean, my cousin who died not too long ago. Well, it's been a year now. My closest relative, to my heart. And so that's the good news is I got to see him, and it was fabulous and wonderful. And we laughed so hard that I hurt for 2 days. It was great. But the concern about that is that he has Alzheimer's. And so, but we can still laugh about that. Because that's a family thing. You either laugh or you cry, and we choose to laugh. So we laughed a lot, and I asked him how old he was, so I know how long I've got before I get officially diagnosed. So anyway, so it's good and bad. It's life.
So in honoring the joy of that continued relationship and the beauty of laughing into hard moments.
Good morning. My name is Lynn, and I wanted to tell Janet that my 100.5, almost 103-quarter mother, no dementia. Last week, we fulfilled what we call today bucket lists, but it was sort of a lifelong wish that she had to visit the Grand Canyon. So let me tell you, when you travel with a centenarian, you get all kinds of extra attention. So, but I was glad that we were able to do this, and I think she had a good time too. Thanks.
So in celebrating that extra attention and in the attention that you're teaching us to have each day.
I have one along the lines of creativity, and sometimes we can't change things, and that's what I found out. I did my first theater project, and it was a play called Brave New World. If you've read it, you probably need this better more than I do on Sunday. Anyway, it was a really hard play to do, and it ended in kind of the alpha people living and the people that were victims dying and being made fun of and caricaturized, and it ended in suicide. And I kept telling my theater class, can't we do Monty Python? Haven't any of you seen this? Like, can't I run through the stage every time we say savage with a little sign that says ooh? Because the Native American students are telling us, we don't like this word. None of them are in the play with us. Anyway, it was a project, and it was creativity, and I wasn't able to change it. But I made some friends, and some people were listening, and I'm rewriting the play. We're going to call it Rave New World. And it's like so many things people share in here. Sometimes we can't change that play. Aldous Huxley wrote it. It's got a copyright. There's no changing it. The guy has to die at the end in suicide. No Monty Python. The other kids didn't agree. But I'm rewriting it as Rave New World, and we're going to have some consent in it where two people walk in, and the play people are like, you have to sit. And they look at each other and decide whether they want to stay or not. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And I really am grateful for all you people working with creative projects. Some of them are tragedies, and maybe we need that in life to say, okay, other people have been through this, and some of us need more Pollyanna stories, and that's what I'll be writing. So thank you.
So for Pollyanna stories and for raving creativity.
Yeah, we do. We have one from Mim Neal. She's asking everyone to please send good thoughts and energy to her older son, Alan Neal, who is desperately seeking a new apartment after his old place was invaded by rats.
So for Mim's son and for a speedy, safe, and welcoming home. Let's also keep Mim close in our hearts today. She's not feeling well and is really bummed to be missing the service this morning. So Mim, our hearts are connected with yours through Zoom. And I have one other sorrow for the congregation. We found out this week through Reverend Laurel that Tracy Jones passed away earlier this year. Tracy had been a long time, several-year friend and member of our congregation. Folks know her from building her own theology, and that happened earlier this year. And so in holding George close and in holding her children and her grandchildren very close this morning in our hearts.
Sing me a song of a lad that is gone. Say, could that lad be I? Larry of soul, he sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Give me again all that was there. Give me the sun that shone. Give me the eyes, give me the soul, give me the land that's gone. Speed, bonny boat, like a bird on the wing, onward the sailors cry. Bury a lad that is born to be king, over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, island and sea, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was meet is gone. Sing, bonny bird of a lad that is gone. Say, could that lad be I? Mary of soul, who sailed on a sailed on over the sea, over the sea, over the sea, to sky. Sing me a song of a lad that is gone over the sea to sky.
When I arrived at Fremont Correctional Facility in Canyon City on Wednesday morning, I was greeted by blue skies, twittering birds, and my friend who lives on the other side of 3 fences and razor wire encircling the prison. I'm going to call him Daniel this morning. Daniel's in his mid-70s, and he's tall, and he's black, and he's warmer than most people I've ever met. He's been inside for an awfully long time, and we've been working together for nearly 5 years at this point. When he's not with me, Daniel is out along the one walkway between the entry building and the entrance to the prison proper. And on the right side of that walkway is his flower bed. I've been hearing about preparation for this flower bed, for this year's arrangement over the past months and months and months. It started with him reimagining that stretch of 200 feet over the winter on cold nights with only pinpricks of stars to keep him company. Over the past few weeks, he's hauled every single stone from those beds and hand washed them before meticulously putting them back where they belong. He's hand-tilled the earth, and he's carefully adjusted the sprinkler heads just so. On Wednesday morning, we waved to each other through the perilous blockades of metal and wire, and when I came down the walkway, moments later, we stopped to talk. He wanted me to imagine with him what he said would be the waves of color that would soon be blooming from the seeds that he was planting. I could see the delight on his face and the sparkle in his eye, which only gleamed brighter when he leaned down to show off his collection of seeds that he'd gathered from last year's plants. I admired a small tote with about a dozen baggies of all shapes and colors, tuna packages and Ziploc alike, bulging with petals and seeds and scraps of carefully dried and preserved remains from last year's walkway. "Can I show you my favorite one?" he asked. I told him he didn't have to ask. Out of the bottom of the tote came a bag that was a little bit smaller than the rest, with petals whose red color was barely dimmed by the drying. He held the bag open for me to smell, and I leaned over and felt my lungs fill with the floral sweetness of hibiscus. My smile met his as we marveled at the scent of potential that he had in his hands. Standing together on the inside of those wires and fences, smelling that hibiscus from last year, I knew that for one moment, we were free. In working inside over the past decade, many of the men and women I've worked with have said to me, when I'm here with you in this class or this rehearsal or even this moment, I'm not in prison anymore. I'm free. But how can that be? Clearly, the freedom of people inside is curtailed enormously. They can't even choose what to wear or to eat or where to go. In a profound way, freedom has been eliminated from their lives, or at least freedom in the way that we like to talk about it. The American imagination has decided that freedom is a sacred state of being, which is all-encompassing. We live in a land of the free, as if freedom is inherent in our very essence as people alive in this country. And yet I know very few people in the free world who experience freedom as deeply or as regularly as Daniel does out in his garden, or any of my students and colleagues who are locked behind prison walls. The notion of freedom, which arises from the American imagination, is just a platitude, only useful in how it can be deployed to capture the imagination and distract us from doing the real work of being free. Because freedom is work. It's a practice of living which all beings can access regardless of who or where they are. It comes about in spits and spatters, in moments, maybe not lifetimes. The song "A Million Nightingales," which the singer so beautifully shared with us this morning and we heard again in our meditation, brings a simple and profound phrase into repetition. I have a million nightingales on the branches of my heart, singing freedom, freedom, freedom. These words are actually adapted from a poem that doesn't use the word freedom. Somehow the benign call for freedom has been used to water down the original words by the political and outspoken Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish. The source material for A Million Nightingales is a poem he wrote called Defiance. He writes, "Tighten my fetters, confiscate my papers and cigarettes, fill my mouth with dust. Poetry is blood in the heart, salt in bread, moisture in eyes. It's written with fingernails, with eyes, with daggers. I shall proclaim in my detention cell, in the bathroom, in the stable, under the lash, manacled, in the violence of chains, that 1,000,000 birds on the branches of my heart are singing fighting songs. I shall proclaim in my detention cell, in the bathroom, in the stable, under the lash, manacled, in the violence of chains, that 1,000,000 birds on the branches of my heart are singing fighting songs." What happens when those same beautiful birds stop singing songs of freedom and they start acting with defiance? What happens when they sing fighting songs? What happens when we get serious about laboring for freedom and realize that that is defiant work? Those songs, those actions, that imagination together, that's a practice of freedom. Freedom here exists in moments. It's the horizon toward which we are all singing. It's just over the bridge guarded by a very hungry troll. But we're not yet free. At least not entirely. Whether we're bound by walls or disappointments or identity or status, we long to be free. We may wish we knew how. We may feel that we're surrounded by the dark times, but as socialist philosopher Bertolt Brecht asks and answers, in the dark times, will there be singing? Yes, he says, there will be singing about the dark times. Maybe freedom starts with the smallest of moments in the darkest of nights, the tiniest of actions in the loneliest of places, pinpricks of stars on a cold night. Maybe freedom is most true when it is the magic of planting a garden where one should not exist. The joy of dreaming a vision into being, the delight of a bird twittering. No meaning but what we find here. No purpose but what we make. As Daniel and I stood and talked more about the hibiscus, I shared my love for the floral tea it makes. And he shared that some of the guys walking through that part of the prison will pluck flowers from their stems to take back and make tea. To sit for a moment and to taste freedom. Today, I invite you to find the moments in your life when you're truly free, when you're practicing the work of freedom. They may alter the course of your life, or more likely, they'll just be incrementally growing. Either way, they're beautiful. Why not start by making yourself a cup of hibiscus tea? There are tea bags waiting for you on the way out. May it nourish you to sing fighting songs. May it bring you deeper into solidarity. May it be a moment of freedom. May it be so.
In the dark times, will there be singing?
Yes, there will be singing about the dark times.
If ye love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another Comforter, that he may abide with you forever, may abide with you forever. In the spirit of truth, spirit of truth, in the spirit of truth, the spirit of truth, that he may abide with you forever, may abide with you forever. In the spirit of truth, the spirit of truth, in the spirit of truth, the spirit of truth, the spirit of truth.
In and let it go. Let's give a little bit more love for the beautiful music today. Have a beautiful week.